Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
My name is Adam.
Nice. So you came here to the protest to support Palestine. So why do you support Palestine?
Because,
or why are you here?
Because I'm against killing of innocent people, whether they are Muslim, Jew, non-Muslim, etc. So I'm here to say that Israel needs to stop violence and the attacks on civilians, as well as Hamas should stop their violence against the civilians.
Yeah. So what do you think is the problem in this conflict? Because both sides are like attacking each other, but where do you see like the biggest problem with Israel? Because they attack civilians or buildings with foreign journalists or something like that.
I think the biggest problem with Israel is the fact that they are building a national state that clearly puts one nation above the another. It's clearly authoritarian regime, not only against Arabs but also against Jews who are against policies of Israel.
So is it based in Torah or in in some sort of religious text, or is it like fundamentalist political movement like Zionism? What do you think?
I think the actions of Israel are purely out of their created Jewish nationalism, out of Zionism, that would in many parts go against the Torah that religious Jews are using as their holy book.
So you don't have any problem with Jews or
No, as a Muslim, I don't have any problem against Jews, against Christians or any other religions. Of course, I think Islam is the religion of truth, the only religion of truth. But Islam also teaches us to respect the other religions and other people.
Yeah.
My name is Asad.
Got it. Where are you from?
I'm from India.
And so you came here to the protest against Israel to support Palestine. So why are you here?
I'm here because this is not a cause about Muslims. This is a cause about humanity, and we all have seen the gross human rights violations that are taking place and that occupies territories of Palestine. We stand against all forms of aggression and all forms of oppression, and that's why we are here. And of course, I am Muslim, but that's not why I'm here. This is what is happening is wrong, and it has to be stopped.
So you condemn violence on both sides, right?
Of course, absolutely. We are not anti-Semitic. We are not anti-Semitic. This is against the extremist and oppressive and racist apartheid regime of the government of Israel. It's against the Zionists. As simple as that.
So nothing against Jews, but more about the philosophy of Zionism and the nationalist.
It's an extreme ideology, and it's pretty clear. I mean, if you look at how they were formed, look at their ideas, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
They are against human rights. Basically, they're not even listening to the United Nations, which they have signed up to follow. But you can clearly see that what is happening on the Palestinian side is way more worse.
I do not need to be Palestinian to recognize segregation, to recognize apartheid and blatant hatred. I do not need to be Palestinian to feel as though my blood is being shed with every drop of Palestinian blood spilled, to feel hearts of mothers shattering as they lose their children, and to feel the trauma of shell-shocked kids. But much like all of you, I am human and can look at the face of injustice and turn my grief into fury. Not a sort of fury that resorts to extremism, neither anti-Semitism or more hatred, but rather one that will stand with every Palestinian and for their cause until they are liberated. I do not need to be Palestinian to recognize that the ceasefire signed yesterday means merely a reduction of bombs, while the occupation continues, while the lack of access to water continues, while the no access to medication continues, and the countless human rights infringements continue, and the olive branches of Palestine and end the segregation and the bloodshed. I do not need to be Palestinian, and neither are my ancestors do they need to be Palestinian, nor have I ever visited Palestine, but I know that for this cause, Damna Palestini, for this cause, our blood is Palestinian. Thank you.
Free Palestine! free! Palestine will be free! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Can you tell us your name and where are you from?
My name is Ziad. I am from Palestine.
My name is Ali. I'm from Egypt.
Egypt?
Yeah.
And sorry, what's your name?
I'm from Palestine.
Palestine. Okay. So maybe we start with you. Why do you support Palestine, or why did you come here to do protest?
Because first of all, I am from Palestine, which means that I have seen since I was a mere child every single aspect of the occupation.
Which part of Palestine?
I was raised in the West Bank in Ramallah.
Oh, West Bank.
Yes. And I have witnessed every kind of injustice and inequality and all sorts of images of apartheid within the system that we live in. We have basically like really limited rights. We don't have the right of movement,
Yes.
right of anything.
Got it.
So of course, me standing here is the least I could do for my people, for the innocent people, for everybody that's suffering because of this apartheid system. Like,
Yes. So you grew up in Palestine. What's like an example of apartheid? Like what you saw in your life as a young child, maybe, or give us like example, maybe.
like being bombed by the F-35 fighter jets, like not being able to go outside on the street to play in the front of the building for 12 days. As a 6-year-old, I witnessed everything like this, and I'm one of the least, how can I say, the least affected people by the things that I have seen is nothing comparing to what an average Palestinian sees in the West Bank, and especially nowadays in Gaza.
You don't need to be a Muslim to stand with them. You just need to be a human. And like the thing is, like that's the only thing I like. That's the only thing I can do.
Yes.
I can do more, but like at least I can support my brothers. You know.
So you condemn the violence on both sides, even Hamas, right?
Hamas has the right to defend itself. Like, what rights do we have?
It's their right to respond because they had a lot of like they have been bombed too many times, so they have the right to like, you know.
But do you support killing innocent people?
No, never,
of course not.
never.
On both sides?
Of course.
Both sides, yes. No.
Okay. And where are you from in
I
Palestine?
am from Bethlehem.
Really?
Where
Bethlehem?
Jesus born.
Yes, yes. Please.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't like. I don't have anything more to speak about it, you know. But just one thing: that free Palestine. This is the matter, you know.
My name is Yasmin Fakri. I am half Czech, half Syrian.
Nice.
My father is Syrian, my mother is Czech, and we are here to join for a common cause, which is the Palestinian cause.
Okay. So you are here, and so can you tell us why do you support Palestine?
Well, I mean, it's a very loaded question. I think really, it's all about human rights and looking at the face of injustice and seeing children getting bombed. This is something that is purely political, I believe, but you can also look at it from a humanitarian point of view and just not wanting to see children getting killed, whether it is on the Palestinian or the Israeli side. However, it is very prominent. It's a prominent casualties on the Palestinian side. So the injustice is quite obvious when you look at the figures, the numbers, and previous history, of course.
Yeah, because people will suggest that if you support Palestine, you must support Hamas or terrorism or killing of innocent, people in Israel. So, how do you tell these people that maybe this is not what you support?
Of course not. See, no one stands for extremist actions, and really, very barely can you fight fire with fire. And Hamas is an Islamist group that we do not stand for. However, it is worth keeping in mind that it is worth understanding Hamas's actions, not justifying them or whatsoever, but it is in a retaliation. We don't support Hamas because we don't support terrorism or extremism, and it has nothing to do with Islam, which many Arabs are. However, that being said, we are here for a common cause of human peace, not trying to exacerbate the issues that are going on, whether it is Hamas or Israel.
So you have nothing against Jewish people?
Absolutely not.
So what the problem is, the Zionism as a movement, or is it the state of Israel, or what is the main root of this problem? If you look at back 1948, maybe, I don't know how far you want to look back, but what do you think is the cause of the disruption in the Middle East? You know?
Well, I can't say, I can't, well, to me, I believe that the cause of disruption in the Middle East is international relations and the involvement of foreign powers. See, Israel would arguably not exist if it weren't for the hegemonies around the world. Now, in regards to Judaism and being Jewish, of course, no one has, I personally don't have anything against that. Most Palestinians do not, for it is merely a religion. However, it is Zionism that we have an issue with. It's after Theodore Herzl, who came about with the idea of Zionism, that things have started to be involved with ethnicities and territorialism, and we belong here, no, you don't belong here, and shoving people out. And we understand the diaspora, but that being said, we are creating a Palestinian diaspora because of Zionism. So it's Zionism that we are against, not Judaism or being Jewish.
Right. What do you think is the solution for you? Do you think it's a two-state solution? Do you think there's one-state solution, or that there will be like a full-scale war? What's in the near future?
The realist response is that there is no solution. Unfortunately, a two-state solution will cause one country that is more powerful than the other. The one-state solution will turn the entirety of Palestine, Israel, into a bloody place. And really, to me, the most optimal part is a one-state solution with equal sovereignty for Palestinian and Israeli people, or Palestinian and Jewish people, and allowing there to be peace. But I fear that is something that is not achievable in the near future.
Do you think that people are scared of essentially Islam?
It's easy for the media to monopolize on an insane person yelling Allahu Akbar and throwing bombs, but it's not. But they don't monopolize on the children that are being stacked into morgues and the dead bodies that are falling apart, getting from bombed buildings. So it's easy to look at the Palestinian person and saying they're the ones who are making the trouble, unbeknownst to them that Palestine does not have an army. And the aggressions and the mass casualties are coming off from Israel. The aggression is coming, and the mass casualties are being on the Palestinian end. The media does not portray that. It portrays an insane Palestinian person throwing a bunch of bombs and screaming Allahu Akbar.
It's in self-defense. In less than 2 weeks, over 230 Palestinians have died. Among them, 65 were children, and over 60,000 Palestinians in Gaza are now homeless. On the Israeli side, 10 people have died. This comes to show us the profound and rooted asymmetry between Palestinians and Israelis. This is not a war. This is a bloodbath, a genocide happening in front of the eyes of the international community. How many more children should die for us to open our eyes? According to the Human Rights Watch, Israel is committing the crime of apartheid, which is a crime against humanity. It is time that Israel be held accountable for its diverse international law violations.
What is your name? Nice. So, why did you decide to come here?
Because my family is in Palestine, and a long time Israeli occupied Palestine, and
Okay, so if you weren't a Palestinian, let's say you are just not Palestinian, you would still, come here, or?
Yes, for justice.
So what do you think is the problem?
Israel stole Palestine land.
What do you think is like a solution? Do you think there is like a way to do peace, or it's not possible?
I don't think that's some solution because it's too late.
Occupation no more.